Just like Nico Horner the other day, what is the status of Michael Busch moving forward? Let's go.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, alongside Sam Olver. I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making us your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, like the video, and comment anything below. Today's episode is presented by our great partners at FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. The second player in our review / look ahead series is Michael Busch, who just completed his rookie season following a trade from the Dodgers to the Cubs last January. Busch / 248, 335, 440 with 21 home runs, 28 doubles, and 65 runs batted in. According to FanGraphs, he finished with a WAR of 2.3. Busch also turned in a nice year defensively, making what ultimately was a pretty smooth transition to first base after moving around the diamond the last couple of years in the Dodgers system. Sam, it's Michael Busch's turn to get reviewed, get a grade, and then later in the show, there might be some trade possibilities for him too.
First of all, I'd like to open my part of the show by saying whenever you have a collar on your shirt, it just makes the show feel more prestigious and I feel more formal. I'm wearing a Nike Just Do It shirt, but like when you bring your collar over to the camera,
airwaves,
it makes me feel like I'd like to elevate my game. Less animation, more business. As far as Busch goes, look, you've been a real big fan lately of rewinding the tape. If you rewind the tape back to when they traded him, which was one of our bigger episodes we've ever done.
No, I think it's the biggest one.
I my expectations for Busch were fairly high. I thought that he could hit, and I think when you do these grades, expectations play a huge part, right? For example, a C+ for Shohei Ohtani is most likely going to be an A+ for Ian Happ. You know what I mean? Based on the expectations that you go into it. I thought early in the year, I really was enjoying watching him hit. He had that stretch. I think it was about early to mid-ish April, that road trip where he hit 5 or 6 homers in a row. And I started to, my eyes started to wander to, hey, could this be the 880, 900 OPS guy we're looking for? And then, after that stretch, it was just kind of very average for most of the season. I thought defensively, he made tremendous leaps. I would go as far as to say by the end of the year, he was a pretty close to an elite defensive first baseman. And I give him tons of credit for that because that's not easy to do at all. Totally. My issue with Busch is it just seems like a lot of his swings and takes are predetermined, and that's difficult, especially early in the count. But if I had to give him a grade, I think I would give him a B. Based on the expectations I had going in. I think he met those and at times slightly exceeded those. Like every other Cub on this team, you're not going to hear me give a position player on this team an A. Because an A position player doesn't have 2 consecutive months like that. There are some pitchers that for sure were, but you're not going to hear there is no A position player on this team, but there are a few Bs, and I believe Michael Busch was one of them.
Yeah, I would agree with the grade. I also gave him a B. Somewhere in the 83 to 86% range. If you take yourself back to school, and
84 for me.
84. Oh, so you're putting a specific percentage?
Yeah, I'll give him like an 83.8, round up to an 84. So it's closer to a minus than it is a plus.
Right. Well, I wasn't going to give him a plus, and Michael Busch, as we're going to see, I think, is a pattern with the Cubs that we review, because we'll review all the regulars, like the 9 regulars and all that.
Can we not review Wisdom?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
I can guarantee that we will not grade Patrick Wisdom's 2024 campaign. And is he still on the roster? I guess he is. So no, but Sam, a lot of these guys are the same.
Yes.
We're going to say the same thing. He had a good stretch here and there. There was a week where he forgot to hit. There was another week where he forgot to hit. There was a week where he was contending for the team player of the year, because he did.
Yep. And he's not.
He's not. And my vote for that would be for Madrigal. But, no, sorry.
Come on. No.
I remember the stretch early on. I think it was capitalized with the Marlins series. He was on like a crazy stretch. He had that nice series against the Dodgers. I'm talking, early to mid-April. Then he had literally that 10-game stretch, Sam, where I remember his strikeout rate was like, it pushed literally 60%.
Yep.
He made adjustments throughout his season. He ended up with over 20 homers. I think that was great to see a 2 next to that, stat, which you mentioned back in January. But as we're going to talk about next segment, if they're really wanting to upgrade power, first base historically is one of the places to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And while his outlook could be pretty solid moving forward, I do think he could also be attractive in a return package for a bigger name.
I love what you said about everybody kind of being the same grade wise. Like it is true. And it's in different ways, right? It's in different ways, but ultimately, there's so many guys that really fall under the B or C category.
All. Yeah. No, all 9 guys will be between C- and B+.
I'm not quite sure on that.
So you just C- to B.
Well, no, there's a D.
There is.
I'm not sure. I got to
for Amaya.
I got to look back at Amaya. I got to look back because
D seems harsh.
D+. I mean, well, for 2 months he was batting about 130, and that really hurt the team when they were struggling.
Well,
but I'll think about that. You're right.
Yeah,
I'm not.
He's lower on the list, but I get what you're saying.
No, yeah, I agree. It's not a final grade, but you're right.
Thank you.
Christian
Bethancourt might be an A- though.
WWE is something I used to watch a lot, and I remember, back in the day, like Triple H used to insult this one wrestler named Daniel Bryan, and he would always say, "Hey, you're good, but you're nothing more than a B- player. You're a B- player. You're not an A." And it was like this big insult thing, and that's what I think of a lot of times, like with the Cubs, like the Cubs have a lot of really here's the adjective. Nice players.
And you've been on top of that. You were the first one on that.
And so it's so hard because in a vacuum, they really don't deserve to be insulted a ton. Like, this is what they're supposed to do. It's more of a roster construction thing.
Right. They're not bad players.
No. Not even close. I mean, they're a lot better than a lot of these guys. Like you ask the Yankees or the Dodgers, you get a Michael Busch in there instead of a Chris Taylor or a Miguel, whatever it is. I know it's not.
Rice,
I know it's not positional, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of the trade, I think he's one of the guys the Cubs got to look at because we talked about Nico. We'll talk about Paredes. And Busch. I think those are the 3 guys. Dansby Swanson's untradeable with that contract. Ian Happ. Folks, Matt actually told me this, so I'm stealing his thunder. But Bruce Levine on a Saturday show even hinted that the Cubs talked to Ian Happ about waiving his no trade clause.
Right in July, this past July.
Yeah, so they for everyone that's like, well, you could never trade Ian Happ. They might have wanted to. They just can't. He's got a no trade.
Exactly.
PCA's not going anywhere. Saya's got a no trade. Maybe the upgraded catcher, but the three positions where you could see them potentially upgrading are there. And I think we need to discuss it.
Let's do that coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. And you can play alongside Drewski, Joe Budden, and MMA champ Sean O'Malley. That's available under Community Plays under the Promos tab of the app to view entries for some of the biggest names. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Today's episode is also brought to you by Booking.com. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay even in your baseball rival city during the postseason. And what a postseason it is. Maybe it's time to taste test your baseball competition's stadium cuisine. Well, luckily on Booking.com, you can find the stadium stay that's just right for you. With Booking.com's wide variety of choices across the U.S., you can go incognito to all your baseball rival cities. What a series it is right now in Cleveland and Detroit, New York and Philly, in the AL as well. AL and NL, really, Sam. So many good series. San Diego is popping right now. Imagine getting on a plane and going to Padres Dodgers. I mean, it'd be insane. Booking.com can make you a fan of any city around the country, even your baseball rivals. Booking.com, yeah. All right, as we said last segment, Michael Busch, Nico Horner, and Isaac Paredes are really the only players of the main position guys that are available. Miguel Amaya might also be available, but we'll see. I just think that if you part ways with Busch, you only do it for a legit power threat. Mm-hmm. But I really believe because of his years of control and the upside he did show this past year, I think that's maybe even to get back a star level power threat. Whether, I don't know the availability of these guys, but I'm going to dream.
Sure.
Whether it's someone in the realm of a Vlad or a Brent Rooker or a Kyle Tucker who's entering his free agent year as well, just like Vlad. Brent Rooker has like 3 more years of control left. But I really think to pair, really, if you get 2 of those 3 guys plus 2 or 3 prospects, why can't we dream? And also, you can't be held back by this anymore. Folks, the Padres traded for Juan Soto. Then they traded Juan Soto. And they might go to the World Frickin' Series, man. First, they weren't afraid to trade prospects. Then they weren't afraid to trade a star.
And then they use those.
And you guys are getting bent out of shape about Horner. You think AJ Preller's getting bent out of shape? His team is 1 win from advancing to the championship series in the National Frickin' League, dude.
Well, AJ Preller might be getting his tickets to Disneyland.
Right.
They do that for baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Busch isn't good enough valued-wise around the league to be the centerpiece of one of those trades, but he definitely could be in it. Or you could do an indirect trade. One of the most under-talked about indirect trade. What I mean by that is you're getting rid of a certain position and then replacing him with a certain position, but you don't do it directly, was offseason heading into 16. Cubs trade Starlin Castro for Adam Warren. They weren't really worried about the Adam Warren return. They had their eyes on going to get Ben Zobrist to replace him, and they just had to find a way to move on and get value from him. So the Cubs, maybe they have their eyes on the polar bear, Pete Alonso. So they trade Busch, for maybe an Adam Warren type of player, or I think he's worth more than that because of the arbitration and stuff.
Maybe a back end starter or something.
Yeah. And then it's hey, now we went and signed first base. All this obviously is contingent on Bellinger's decision, but I think it's on there. I mean, the one thing I'd say is if you do get rid of Busch, ideally, and this is understanding the Bellinger situation is unknown, you need another lefty, because by getting rid of Busch, the Bellinger situation being unknown, let's say hypothetically you replace Busch with Alonso, great. You keep Nico, and then Bellinger goes, you only have PCA and Happ in your current lineup that hits left-handed. That's a problem.
Yeah.
You can't have, you find a guy with a nasty righty arm angle every other day, and it's like, oh boy,
That's
so
true.
You need some left-handed pop, but I think it's either. I think it's almost, if not just as likely he goes as Horner goes. But I also think it's almost as likely that nobody goes. I mean, it's all up in the air with Jed and
can you imagine
and what he's doing, and Jed's approval rating for me. I mean, it started out pretty high and it's steadily gone down, and it's the lowest it's been. The press conference and just the approach, and the 5-WAR stuff and the expectations and projection stuff, it's as low as it's gotten, and he's going to have to work really hard to get me and others, I'm sure, back confident.
Yeah, if they kept the current position player group, this is if Bellinger opts out and they just add one player, I guess the DH, because then say it would go to right.
Yeah.
It just depends on who that player is.
And where are we on that? It's a good question for the comment. Like, because I think this is going to play a part in the offseason for the Cubs. Seiya Suzuki can never play right field for the Cubs. He has to DH. Or are we, hey, I'm open to it if it gets us another really good hitter? Where are we?
It's got to be the latter.
Yeah. I think it's the latter too, until I remember some of the things that happen. And then also,
well, he couldn't do it for 150 games.
No, it'd be half the time at most.
Maybe 100.
And then it also goes into, like, is he just better off as a hitter when he doesn't have to worry about defense? You get into those conversations as well.
Well, the numbers would say that it was when he switched in August, but you'd have to talk to him, right?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be great if we got him on the show.
Okay. I didn't mean literally.
So.
All right. So what are we doing next?
0 to 100.
0 to 100. So this is inspired by some international travel by another Chicago team.
Oh, and I have a couple for you,
Fantastic. Stay tuned.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans. You could start the season with a big return on FanDuel. That's America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Folks, unlike my Jordan Montgomery take, I was pretty spot on about the Bears-Jags spread. I said it'd be 2. It stayed at 2 for a while, but in the last 24 hours, it's jumped to 2.5.
Oh, wow.
Jaquan Brisker's going to miss that football game for the Bears. They have some depth in their secondary. Here's where I'm at on this. I think the Bears are better than Jacksonville, and they should win this game. But I also don't like to bet on games overseas. It's just weird. The time difference is weird. Weird things happen. So I'm leaning stay away. But, I'm curious your thoughts. If you like the Bears, make that bet on FanDuel. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. It's a great deal. It's FanDuel.com, America's #1 sports book.
0 to 100 returns as our reoccurring segments are going to return. Really, I think every week, honestly, even in the newsy weeks. I like these as third segment, Sam.
Yeah.
Inspired by the Bears going to London and playing the Jags.
Yeah.
Also, knowing that the Cubs opened the season in Japan this March. By the way, opening day is Tuesday, March 18th in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
It's against the Dodgers of LA, who will be managed by Skip Schumacher. What is the percent? Well, they will be, though.
No, well, if they lose tonight, Roberts will probably be let go.
What are you hearing about that? Seriously.
Yeah. No, I haven't heard.
He's probably going to be gone, right?
If they lose this divisional series and they spend over $1 billion to lose, he's got to be gone. Yes.
Yeah. What is the percent chance that you would go see one of your teams play on the international stage?
75, 80.
Wow, that's high.
Yeah, I can't do Japan. I actually haven't told you this. This is breaking news on the air, but I made a trip, Nick Anthony and some family at the end of February. Or for the first time, I'm taking Nick to Vegas.
Wow.
He's never been to Vegas.
That's great.
So we're going to do the whole Vegas sports book. And then I got a friend of mine that's going to be fighting there. A family member of mine that's going to be fighting there. So it's going to be a whole thing that just got booked about 2 days ago, actually on booking.com.
Wow.
But yeah, I would do that.
That's fun.
Yeah. I actually thought about inviting you, but somebody's got to do the show.
Yeah. We could do it from Circa.
Yeah, we could do it from Caesars.
Yeah.
I got a couple actually for you. If you don't mind going. One's Cubs related, and then one's non-sports related.
Go Cubs.
My first was just kind of basic, was just 0 to 100. Cody Bellinger's a Cub on March 18th.
25%.
That low?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I was like 40.
Yeah, I would say he's gone.
Okay.
Boris is obsessed with this Wrigley weather thing. He's going to build his PowerPoint slides and really put Bellinger back on the market to prove that he's better than he stats up.
So I got a two-parter.
Yep.
Last one. 0 to 100. First, part one, you dressing up for Halloween this year. And not at school, I mean socially.
Yep.
And number two, part two was, and then would you do a couple's costume with Kira?
Yeah, so I would say I don't like to get into guarantees, so that's actually 99% because it's basically already planned.
Really?
Yeah, Jim and Pam from The Office.
Are you serious?
Yes. So 99%.
First of all, great costume, great show.
Yeah.
I'm like halfway through season 5.
Nice.
Secondly, really impressed that you're doing that. And thirdly, so do you have like plans?
Yeah, we already have the outfits.
Wow.
And the name tags.
Well, I could see you being like a little bit of a Jim. I don't think you have to do a whole lot for that.
No.
Just put your hair down a bit.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Breaking news. I will not be dressing up in anything.
Yeah. And I haven't dressed up in a long time. But
no, that's why I was surprised, and I'm pleasantly surprised. That's good for you.
Yes.
Well, maybe I'll be Patrick Wisdom for Halloween. And I'll just swing a bat at the air. I'll just swing and miss. I could just walk around. I obviously he's a big, strong guy. I can't do that, but people will know what I'm doing because I'll just walk around and just wing and a miss. Patrick, I like you, man. You're a great guy. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 20 to 30 minutes. We'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube, smash the like button for the algorithm, and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcast. Wow, it's been a fun week of shows so far. Thanks for being part of the ride. Stay with us all off season long. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.
See ya.